Okay, we're live. Woo. All right, everyone. We're live. I think, I guess. I don't know. I never know with the connection anymore. I hope it is. Jesus Christ, the qualities. Okay, it looks normal, I guess, as normal as it's going to look. No, it's a lot of buffering going on. Is anyone else seeing that, or is that just me? I honestly don't know. I'm going to assume that's just my end. I'm trying to keep an eye on the stream down here, and it looks okay up here, but VPNs, all that fun stuff. Internet in Russia these days is Avenuepluggg or whatever, right? Shit in a shoestring type of a situation, but hopefully everything is working now, and we're good to go. All right, yeah, 10 albums this week. Due to the new setup, we're going to be using Yandex Music because my non-VPN software is not working, which means Spotify doesn't open through it. It's this weird, I don't know, it just, everything's a pain in the ass here with the internet nowadays. But as it is, that's okay. We've got 10 releases. Most of them full-length albums, all things considered. I think we got 5 full lengths, 4 minis, and 1 EP. And we actually, there has been a lot of metal in recent weeks, but what I can say this week is there is no metal. There's absolutely no metal at all this week. We do have some electronic music, we've got some indie music, and we have some rap music, but we have no metal. So, hey, that's how it goes. Don't worry, it'll come back at some point in time in the future. We do have some more interesting stuff. I would say that some of the albums I'm going to be covering this week are from, like, specifically sounds that we don't get very often, or genres, subgenres, whatever you want to classify them as, that we don't get very often, various permutations. A lot of kind of unique stuff this week. So, without any further ado, let me go ahead. And we are going to open with the first group here. This is the EP Vivesecция, мотылька, or the vivisection of a moth. This is the EP from the group Кто, or which they shortened from Кто тебя убил, who killed you. This is one of those. Okay, I'm on a VPN. If things don't load immediately, God. All right, well, we might not be able to get a good look at the album artwork, but hopefully the music will load. If the music doesn't load, there'll be issues. This is one of those, like, weird in a good way type releases. I saw it described as a cross between krautrock and Russian rock, but, and you know, there definitely is something to that description, but there's definitely a lot more psych rock than anything else. Psych rock in a off-kilter indie sort of way, with moments that feel like the Pixies' early albums. Drums, I think, on this EP tend to be the centerpiece of the release. There's just like this kind of like steady tick, tick, you know, like they're keeping time really, really well, and everything whirls around it. The fact that the music's not loading is a bit concerning. Well, how? God damn it. All right, we'll try reloading. We might have encountered issues already. So again, kind of that noisy, psych, alt rock, indie rock. It's doing a few things here, but then you've got like an indie dance rock track on the fourth track. So it's not all, the tracks are all largely different. End of story. Здрасте, здрасте. So that track is definitely the one that sticks out a little bit. There is variation throughout. Нет, вот другое дело. Последний сингл пока не слышал, но другое дело хорошая группа, так что я надеюсь, что скоро будет альбом. God damn. Okay, anyway. I have a feeling that there's going to be issues with the playback this evening. I don't know why. But yeah, there is variation across the tracks. I don't know. Okay, right, well, I guess we'll go with Hudojnik, the third track here. There's a lot of different influences here. Again, alt rock, indie rock, psych, even that weird dance rock thing going on in the fourth track. But it all works. It never feels out of place. It never feels like they're just throwing stuff at the wall. All of the permutations work well. So, very nice little release from a group out of St. Petersburg, I guess, if I remember correctly. Kto тебе убил. They do have a few other albums I should highlight. Their last one was Черная белая яркая back in 2023. Before that was Бледная комната. But we got an EP now. Something kind of artsy, something a little bit more out there, but a fun listen still. It's a nice little EP. Only one EP this week, all things considered, too, but it's a good one. So that is Kto, and the EP there is Vivesexia Мотылька, or the vivisection of a moth. Moving on now, we get to electronic music. We haven't had any electronic music, or not too much in a while. We have a decent amount this evening. This is MURRASHI with ILVT. I do not know what that decodes to. This is a bit of a team up. I'm just going to reload the page right now. It's a bit of a team up from the We Lo-Fi album label. We got a producer DJ out of Kaliningrad who does minimalist and experimental electronic with lo-fi aesthetics, and then one out of St. Petersburg who has a bit of more of a lighter, warmer sound, somewhere between lo-fi, minimal electronic, and dub music. The artist from Kaliningrad sent her old recordings to him, and he realized that they could like actually throw together an album from it, that there was something there. And what they did is they kind of like worked on them, I guess remotely, as I understand, and we got this mini album out of it. It's got some deep sounds on it, but it's also kind of lo-fi. It's really warm, washed out type of sound. Maybe we'll get to listen to it. This is kind of ridiculous. Like the stream is working, so obviously the internet is working. So I can, let me try to open Spotify. But I don't think that's going to be a solution. It is not. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I've been having to play around a lot with various permutations for how to get things connected. It seemed like they had stopped dicking around the internet for a while. And at least in my case, it seems to have gotten worse again. But it's okay. Okay, it feels like everything is just like taking its sweet, sweet time. There was another album last summer, I also think from We Lo-Fi, which had this, again, this really like warm, washed out type of feel to it. And I still cannot. Yeah, end of story. I remember the group Washed Out very, very well. The album that they had, it was also, I think, connected to Summer. Feel It All Around, that's the track that I always think of. Life of Leisure from 2009, Chill Wave, yeah. Washed Out was, and yeah, they had like, and so when I do, that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because when I do use the term washed out, I kind of have that group in mind, because that chill wave, lo-fi aesthetic, I think they did a really good job with it. I don't know. And so that's just lodged itself in my memory. So it's cool that, nice, like high five or whatever for knowing Washed Out. But yeah, this short little album here has a lot of this just, I don't know, like floating type energy, which I always like it. Now it does have some, I really hope that this will load a little bit faster than that last track did. We do have some heavier moments, or like, not heavier moments, I should say, like moments when the sound goes a little bit deeper, right? Where it's not so much just on the surface, but it still has that washed out sound. A little bit of the like burial UK garage sound, post dubstep, however you want to call it. Left field, right? Kind of frustrating that the album art won't load, but I think, I mean, you can kind of make it out. It's a little bit smaller than I would prefer it to be, but I don't know. It's gonna be one of those streams, I guess. Also, the that sound right there is it's like feedback from a phone line, if I remember correctly. I've seen another artist who has used it before. Vengent, something like that. Anyway, it took me a while to figure out what that was, but so yeah, if you're looking for some very chill, laid back, washed out style electronic music for just like that summertime atmosphere, because that's like what I associate it with right? Just 100%. And I think that's fair. Then this is what you're looking for ultimately. This is the mini album here, ILVT, from the duo, the team up MURRASHI. Okay, moving on. Interesting. We have here, there's not too much to explain here. This is a mini album. It's called Что реально, What is Real, by the group Ночлег. It's indie, dream, pop, rock. Makes an indie, dream, pop, rock, kind of combine those however you want. A lot of nostalgic kind of sounds. A lot of sounds borrowed from the 80s or the 2010s. I know those are wildly different periods, but yeah. Not too much to say. Just like a fun, nice release. Hopefully we don't have to wait too long for the tracks to load. We probably will, but... Okay. Maybe? I thought I heard something. Okay, I don't know. Trying to think what I could do to potentially get this to work. Let me try one thing, and I hope by doing this I don't end up killing the stream. But we'll find out. We'll find out here. Okay, are we still good? Are we still streaming? Everything's okay? Why does it say I've been streaming for 3 minutes? Okay, whatever. Recently? Okay. Now I'm saying this, Jesus Christ. I really don't. We've gotten through 2 releases and it's taken more time to try to get everything working. Bit of an issue. All right, I guess it's, yeah. I'm not sure. We're gonna see how this goes. It's gonna take probably a little bit longer than I would have anticipated, but as I like to say, not reinventing the wheel, but it's a nice, familiar sound. I like the, I don't know if that's a loon call or an owl of some sorts, but I do like the kind of night bird sound there. I'm kind of maxed out on the volume. I don't really know what I can do there. So again, right, like I said, indie, dream, pop, rock, indie rock, dream rock, indie pop, indie rock, like whatever permutation you want to use. It's like those four. You've got 2 descriptors before the hyphen, 2 descriptors after, and you can kind of combine them however you want. But like I said, a lot of things that you could attribute to kind of, I guess it would be like a retro 80s sound, but then there's a lot of sounds from what I associate with the 2010s when it comes to those things. So yeah, not reinventing the wheel, but a very nice little mini that we get here of indie dream pop rock, indie rock pop dream, but like whatever. That is the mini Что реально by the group Ночлег. All right, the last, well, not the last, I shouldn't say that. I'm just gonna reload the page right now. This is another mini here, Нормальная музыка from the group UBEL. This is a brother-sister duo out of Novosibirsk. This is an album. Oh my God, the album artwork loaded for the first time. I'm going to take that as a good sign. They call the sound of this release noir pop grunge. So it's coarse and tousled together with very simplistic types of musical elements. I would say it's like the 2000s alt rock sound, a bit like Paramore at times. It's just fun. I also don't have any of the songs marked because I listened to this one totally in Spotify. So let me go ahead and get that open here. Pretty much this whole release is just like fun. It's just like a fun album. I'm not going to like try and oversell it here. Just like it's a summer kind of summer rock album. Yeah. Paramore a little bit, right? Like, I'm not imagining that, am I? It's like a fun album. There's really not too much. It's got a little bit of a dirtier sound, if you will. Again, as they described it, noir pop grunge. I have to highlight this too because it feels like the 2000s nostalgia is very, very like strong on this. This track is called "Hey Arnold." For those of you who remember, we got the Walkman, right? The posters on the wall. So. So, again, kind of at this point in time, a retro sound for about 20 years ago, but I don't know, there's enough variation between the tracks. It's just a fun release. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It does everything well enough. I don't know. I had fun listening to this. Again, it's like one of those releases that feels released at the perfect time. So that is the mini Nормальная музыка, or normal music, from the group UBEL. Okay, now we move on to something kind of different, kind of weird. One of those things. This is Ambitious Drone Works from the artist Blockshot. I'm just going to reload again right away. This is, again, one of those albums that is pretty much impossible for me to highlight in any sort of meaningful way. We got 10 tracks. It's about 55 minutes long. Dark, heavy, ominous soundscapes that some people would probably argue isn't even technically music or whatever because there's no melodies or whatever. But it's also not really a summertime release. I'm just going to be completely honest. It feels like one of those things that would be perfect in late November, but I guess bookmark it for then if that's your vibe. It's just like drone music is one of those things. I remember discovering the Disintegration tapes by William Basinski back in late high school, early university. And ever since that time, drone has been one of those genres where like I'm not a fan of it in any measure at all. But when something comes along and it like strikes that same nerve, the Disintegration tapes are like their own thing. There's just like something about them. But that create that same sort of atmosphere of like music where you're sort of sinking into it or you're fading into it or hiding in it. I always, it's just like something clicks. I'm just like, yeah, this is big. I'm going to try to highlight a little bit here. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if the tracks are going to play. You know how it, oh, don't jinx anything. But this is a very solid debut, even though it's going to be like impossible for me to, are we serious? Okay, so it does want to play. It just, this is the type of release that feels like the perfect soundtrack to a horror film, if that's what you're going for, or like the type of music. Obviously, it's the type of music you'd like put on and just, again, kind of melt away to or get lost in your thoughts. Or you want to have like a really bad trip. This is also like the type of thing that you could throw on. It would also probably help with that. I know it's drone, just like I'm putting it in the middle too, so then that way there's like it's got to go somewhere. I do have to share this. I know this is like for basically no one other than me, but I don't know. There's just like it's got such a specific atmosphere. I saw somebody describe it as like what the back rooms would sound like. And I don't know if I completely agree with that, but I kind of get where they're coming from. Like there are melodic elements here, right? It just takes a while for them to come out. Which, I mean, it's drone music, so, you know, what do you expect? since it's drone music, I got a little time to talk. While it's a much different type of drone music, Earth, the group Earth, released an album. I can never remember the name of it. The bees made honey in the lion's skull, I think is what the name of it was. Yeah, the bees made honey in the lion's skull by Earth. And I remember almost like 15 years ago at this point in time, but it was summertime, and me and my buddy Tim were driving out to Seattle for our friend's wedding, and we were driving through Montana, and I put that album on. Like, drone music feels like a big empty space, and so it's perfect. Like, this is the type of music. Now, this wouldn't necessarily work for Montana or Texas or the Plain States or something like that, but it would work. You could see maybe in like a very post-industrial, post-Soviet landscape, like the abandoned industrial spaces that just seem to stretch and rot away into the... It's a tough sell, I know. But if this is... I don't know. If you have the patience for music like this, for releases like this, I would highly recommend giving this a chance. Like, it's quiet music. It's music that you have to kind of like listen to before bed, or when you're out taking a walk, or driving hundreds of miles across an uninhabited landscape, right? Like, it's that type of music. But it takes you places. It takes you places. Not for everyone. There's just no escaping that fact. But it is one of those releases that I cannot play the first track. It's not available. So, okay, whatever. Is the final track? No? Also not? Okay. It's just kind of like whichever tracks the website decides to make available to us, I guess. Huh. Anyway, I guess I've had my say. I've spoken my piece, so get the idea. I basically never feature drone music, and it's because most drone music's kind of drony and not very interesting, but there is something here. So if it's a genre that you dabble in, or if you're into those types of it says 4. This is actually the final track, just to give you an idea of how jacked the internet situation is right now. Give this a shot. It is nice. Anyway, that is Ambitious Drone Works, and I feel like it does live up to the title. From the artist Blockshot. All right. Back to music, I guess. Rap. We haven't had any rap for a while, and we're going to have kind of a lot of it, sort of, kind of. Like, the rest of the releases, most of the rest of the releases are rap or rap adjacent. And I don't want to scare anybody away with that, because only 2 of them are what we would consider like rap. But up first, we have Black Box 2 from JEEMBO. As is to be expected, as always, there are mixed reactions from the Russian rap community on this one, but there's honestly never a single album that they can actually all agree on. Most of the criticism with regards to this album is connected to JEEMBO rapping about the same things, using the same images and motifs that he regularly does, which is a wild set of complaints for rap bands, because I feel like most artists tend to go back to the same imagery and the same types of, like, that's just for better or worse, what artists do. It's like complaining that a writer focuses on the same things. Like, if you don't like that, then you read other books. So anyway, I feel like the criticisms aren't really that valid. Also, that it's not as good as his old stuff. But since we're not comparing against anything here, I listened to an EP of JEEMBO last year. I thought it was pretty good. Hella, I think it was just called Hella, right? Or was it? Hold up. Let's find out. Stay Hella. So I like that one. I thought that one was pretty good. This is kind of the same thing, a little bit better, I would say. Flow, heavy beats, consistency. I think those are the things that on the whole just kind of make it stand out for me. There are some pretty solid lines on this album too. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it now. There's one where he's like talking about the Amish. Oh God. If I can find it, I'll play it, but I don't know if I'll be able to find it. Hold up. Oh, there it is.
Мы начинали с кассет, в руке микрофон как кастет. Сделал эту запись, черный ящик. Сделал эту запись, сделал эту запись, черный ящик. Сделал эту запись, сделал эту запись, черный ящик. Сделал эту запись, сделал эту запись, черный ящик. Сделал эту запись.
All right, hold up. Come on. Okay. Oh, there we go.
Воспламеняюсь у майка. Воспламеняюсь у майка. Воспламеняюсь у майка. Нет сыра для всех этих крыс, я знаю, они предадут. Воспламеняюсь у майка за пару минут. Хороню бабки в сейфе, там целое кладбище. Вся банда в черном, как будто мы амиши. Амирибэк на где спрятаны камешки.
It's such a dumb line, but the whole gang in black like we Amish, which is such a, but it works. I mean, it's no. I did a little revisiting of Lil Wayne back when he was in his prime earlier this week. Nothing on that level, obviously, here in Russia for the most part. But every once in a while, you get those like quality lines.
Загляни под маску поверх наших черепов. Ищем самородки, рифмы среди грязи слов. Держим жало наготове, чекай, мы пришли с низов. И меня не предупреждали, но я ко всему готов. Ко всему готов, но сколько еще впереди. Боль торчит отверткой прямо из моей груди. Я снова приготовил мясо, это мой аперитив. Детка, загляни под маску, посмотри, как я красив. Ведь там купюры цвета Тиффани, цинковый ящик с рифмами. Лодка с черным парусом в аккурат между рифами.
Again, like, rap is kind of like metal for me, where sometimes I want something that's a little bit more progressive. Like, so with rap, that would be, with metal, it's another story, obviously, but like with rap, that's like the more underground, forward thinking, like with interesting wordplay. And sometimes you just want something just like solid beat, good flow, like a peanut butter and jelly type thing. That's kind of what this is. And you know what? Like, Again, it's not groundbreaking, it's not life-changing, but it works. And I feel like it's been kind of a dry year for Russian rap, which is kind of how it always is, but so yeah, I guess welcome back, Russian rap. It's been a while since you've been on the stream, but JEEMBO brings us back here with his album Black Box 2. On the heels of that, we have here the group Orden, which is composed of Napas, Jone's Grifa, Avenuepluggg, Sonshi Alef. So we've got 4 artists here, right? You'll see them here. Kind of with our powers combined, right, we got the Voltron thing or whatever, Captain Planet, whatever you want to call it. They are Orden, and this is their album СИЛА. You got 4 underground rappers, and they just kind of come together and do a bunch of ciphers. So if the JEEMBO Black Box 2 was the peanut butter and jelly, this is a Reuben. I don't know. Like it's got the taste, it's got the depth, it's got the flavor. The beats are mostly old school East Coast boom bap. Lyrically, it's kind of a mixed bag, but in a good way. It kind of depends on who's on the mic. It just kind of goes around. Sometimes they're reflecting on life. Sometimes they're doing some storytelling. Sometimes they're just horsing around and having a good time. Sometimes they're boasting. Then they go back around to the beginning. So also, I do not know which tracks I'm looking for because I had this in Spotify. So let me go ahead. All right. I guess we shall see which tracks we are allowed to play, if any. Just like any track would be good right about now. All right, I'll do the reload. Let's try that again. I'm moving too fast. This is like, I feel like I'm on dial-up internet right now. And if I make too many clicks, then the computer gets overwhelmed or something along those lines. But we were doing so well too. Maybe? Well, shucks. I don't know. I honestly don't. Give me a moment. Again we'll try to find a backup plan here. Oh God, I hate doing this, but I don't even know if it's gonna work, honestly. Oh. Something loaded. All right, let me. Nope, just one track. All right, everyone, we are going dumpster diving. And by dumpster diving, I mean we are going back to Contact. God damn it. Yeah.
центре сердца, я сама ось. Все, что собрал, я отбросил. Что пес будет грызть, только кинь ему кость. Мы постоянно просим. Я в центре сердца, я сама ось. Все, что собрал, я отбросил. Что пес будет грызть, только кинь ему кость. Мы постоянно просим. Там не ищите, подумай о своей защите. Кто твой, кто наш покровитель. На месте броня меня больше не ранит. Прохожий острыми гранями. Что осталось на моей памяти, дхарма в миру. Семья это главное. Чем стареющей мудрости. Молодым стоять только за правду. Они делали расклад на картах, знают, кто есть, остальное не главное. Если делит наполовину, не забывай, что все едино. Я в центре сердца, я сама ось. Все, что собрал, я отбросил. Если пес будет грызть, то кинь ему кость. Мы постоянно просим.
Неисповедимы, Господу пути мы непобедимы, остаемся невредимы. Видишь эти нимбы, слышишь эти гимны. Посмотри на небо, ты увидишь, как летим мы. Мы как будто в лимбо, кореш крутит диммер. Мой братух ведет свой охуенный новый биммер. Мой кореш сделал мили и играет в игры. Все еще ищу себе бабло на эти тимбы. Слышь, кореш, это ордена над нами серафимы. Прибывая в разных формах в своей сути мы едины. Так-то волка ноги кормят и дороги ведут к Риму. Кента я теряю корни и улетаю в небо с дымом. Да, облаков, до богов, до отков. Смотри, как горлом идет любовь. В чистой основе закон нереком, это тайная воля небес. Знаешь, что когда ты очнешься, дурак дураком, проебав все на поле чудес. Что это тот, кто в тебе...
God damn. Alright, even if contact is not working properly, so I guess cool. Cool. I guess we have the loading thing. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I guess it's just a crapshoot for which tracks are actually going to function normally.
Могу без сумки, бро, пожалуйста, подай ее. Малышка удивляется, куда я пропадаю. Нифига, мои руки моет налик. Тут не тайна, это то, что авеню всегда пиздец, как для питает. Какой из меня гангстер, вы еще ёбнулись. Сучка, поставь свой зад, чтобы наролились. Била каба, так что ему ночь запомнилась. Передвигаясь, дымим, джин со мною обнялась. Огненные сны, они из ног швыряют строчки. Твоих хинтов посадят на облаках. Эй.
Карикатуры на реальность в каждом моем новом треке. Я забил хуй на формальности, звучим как в старой деке. Гимит делать, достань огонь взлету, каждый готов. Гимит добить, нам нужно больше этих жирных битов. Вижу, ты не привык сдаваться, что же, окей. Доступ для юзера открыть, теперь он локейт. С таким лицом вряд ли живут, играют в покер. Кент ищет сумки, что-то он опасный смокер. Я глотаю невесомый груз вместе с клубами дыма. Если лиц не видно впереди, я всматриваюсь.
As is often the case with rap music, the lyrical end of things tends to be kind of where it's at in a lot of situations, if you can hear the music at all. Also very fun. I don't know. Anything? Anyway, yeah. If you want something that's got that like underground feel, I'm a big fan of ciphers. Like, I'm also a big fan of when the music just plays correctly, but that is not for us this evening. But I'm a big fan of ciphers when, you know, each of the MCs takes their turn, right? They just kind of go, like they go around the table type thing. Man, I know it's a bit of a, not even a deep cut, but a throwback, but Давай до свидания back in the day. I loved that track so much for that specific reason. And while this is, in terms of a release, like leagues above Давай до свидания in a lot of ways. Forget that reference. It's just like, it's really good. You got 4 solid artists. They all bring their own specific style and their own specific flow to the release, but they all work together well. So I don't think we're going to be hearing any more of that. It's going to stop here in like a second, so yeah. I mean, I could reload, but I guess I can try. Anyway, if we don't get anything more. Yeah, no. That is the album SILA, or like Strength, Power, from the collective there, Orden, which is made up of Pastor Napas, Sonshis, Alef, Avenuepluggg, and Jone's Grifa. I'm going to... God damn it. Is this just not going to do anything right now? Okay, just don't play. All right, I'm going to leave Contactio open just because I feel like we might have to go back to it. Moving on, we have the release Everything's Broken from Anatoly Ice. Okay, Afro beats, jazz, analog electronics, live percussion. Those are the ingredients that we're mixing here, and this is all thrown together by a DJ producer. The result is we get this like really funky electronic rock, but also has these like kind of break beats from time to time. It's you can tell that it was like also put together by a DJ producer because it has that the way that the tracks kind of sometimes cut and juke around a little bit. All that said, there are a lot of heavy beats and rhythms that go much harder than you would expect. This release reminds me a lot of Rat-a-tat, L10-7, even Bonobo, which was an artist that the artist himself listed as an inspiration when making this release. But it really do be like that, don't it? All right, I guess you have got to be sure, why not? Fairly unassuming at the beginning. Okay. All of those ingredients do come together very, very well. Like it's not even just Afrobeat. There's a lot of Latin music in this release as well. Also, if you don't know Rat-a-tat, you should definitely check out Rat-a-tat. Classic, kind of like electronic rock. It's got lots of synths and Rat-a-tat. Those were the days. I really want to jump around, but I'm cautious. The live percussion really ties everything together. That's like a big part of this album. Please just work. For the love of God. there's like 2 other tracks I would really like to highlight. Yeah. And it's just like the percussion really does it in most situations, in my opinion personally, the tracks that really I guess, are just better than others. It comes down to the percussion in them. Like when the percussion is there and dominant, it really sets the tracks apart from the others. So now luckily there's percussion and like solid percussion on most of the tracks. This is actually the track where I realized Rat-a-tat. I can't remember which Rat-a-tat track it reminds me of, but absolutely phenomenal chorus, I guess, is what we're gonna go with. Pretty solid album artwork too. Kind of simple, but it works, right? Like it's obviously AI, so but this is a solo artist, and it's not like egregiously AI artwork, so. Oh, it also got his name on there. Okay. This is the track, I think, where Bonobo is a pretty fair comparison, if you're familiar with Bonobo. I mean, it's quite derivative to write this off as like funky beats, but that's kind of what it is. Obviously, there's a lot more going on. There's a lot of layers. There's a lot of thought put into all of these tracks. But ultimately, it is just kind of like funky beats. It's good music to listen to kind of in a lot of situations, right? Like, it's good for getting some work done. It's good if you just want to go out and have like a kind of nice little upbeat walk. Again, the polar opposite of the ambitious drone works. But it's also got a little party vibe going on as well too. Kind of a oddball party, but Anyway, really fun release, really interesting release. Something a little bit different too from the electronic scene. We don't get too many exactly like this or similar to this. So that is the album Everything's Broken. The artist there is Anatoly Ice. All right, two left. All right, let's see how this is a mini album here. But I'm putting it here because I think it's kind of an interesting one. This is MIMIKO, the album 1988. One of those electronic albums, got drum and bass, jungle, garage, got breakbeats on there. It's just like this frenetic energy across the whole thing. And MIMIKO, this is a project out of Kurgan also, so out of Siberia. MIMIKO is just kind of over the top all these beats, either just kind of bouncing along, you know, like the little ball on the what do you call it, karaoke words, or at times it feels like, I don't know, like a goddamn alligator or something navigating beneath the surface. A lot of Prodigy energy on this release, I will say, but it's in that same way because Prodigy, it's very much an electronic album, but there's also like a lot of rap and even pop aspects to this. I honestly don't really know how to classify this. I actually found this in a rap community, but this is not an album that I would necessarily think of as rap. It just kind of exists. It's an interesting thing. I do want to share, while we're sampling a little bit here, I do want to share what the artist had to say about the album and about 1988 specifically. I'll let the music play for a second though. Okay. 1988 is the year I was born. My father, Igor Petrovich Konov, had already been through his own storm by then. He served in Afghanistan from 1983 to 1985. In May 85, he was seriously wounded and returned home. Young, whole, but somewhere deep down broken. In 1988, 3 years after his return, the official withdrawal of Soviet troops from Afghanistan began. On May 15th, the first 6 regiments went home. They marched through foreign soil carrying the burden of something no one would later need to explain. It was the last full year of the war. It would soon be over, but inside not everyone would. Meanwhile, something was beginning to sound different in the country. Music was emerging that wasn't afraid to be honest. Tsoi sang Grupa Krovi in stadiums, and his film Asa was shown in theaters, as if someone's confession had just been filmed. Newspapers were publishing things they hadn't for decades. They talked about the gulag, the camps, the past, the pain. 1988 wasn't a noisy year. It was a year in which much came to an end and in which much was born. In silence, in music, in people. I called the upcoming album 1988, not because it was about an era, but because it's from it. From the time where my father was, where my life began, where everything sounded a little more muffled and deeper, and forever remained somewhere inside. This is the music of memory, the music of return. Music demands nothing, but remains all the same. Thought it was a nice, interesting little bit to get an idea of where the artist was coming from headspace-wise. So I feel like you can probably also get why very much an electronic album, but then the vocal delivery, it's kind of pop, it's kind of rap. I guess it's just like that kind of like electro pop area. I really would like this track to play, but I don't know if it's going to. Will this one play? Have I overloaded the dial-up router? I feel like perhaps I have. Oh no. Okay. Well, the final track, please. All right. Wait, the connection? Okay, so it's just Jesus H. This is atrocious. All right, let's oh, okay. So thank you very much. Yeah, all right, end of story. I'll throw on другое дело. It's a very interesting release. It's one of those things I can't quite put my finger on. It jumps around a lot. It's kind of across the whole musical spectrum, but it works. It's nice. It's a really nice release. It's one of those releases that when I first heard it, like the first few tracks, I knew that there was something there. I just couldn't quite figure out what I was going to do with it. So I've actually been putting this off for about 2 weeks. But yeah, there's actually, and I will say this too, with regards to this album, if you go to MIMIKO's, I think on YouTube, or maybe on Instagram, I don't know for sure, he actually filmed like a mini film, like a number of black and white vignettes, and quite well done, quite interesting. I feel like this year for Russian artists too, at least on the music video front, there have been some very interesting ones done, and MIMIKO is not. He's now part of that list too. So that is the album 1988 by the artist MIMIKO. But the final album, the one I want to talk about, the one that is just like, this is the album Architector from the artist Публика выбирает сама. And oh, thank God the album artwork loaded because it's so perfect. When I was in university, one of my friends, Zach, introduced me to Joe Frank. If you're not familiar with Joe Frank was a radio broadcaster. He basically was a podcaster before podcasts existed, and he would read these like hour-long monologues. Sometimes they were just like straight up monologues. Sometimes they were stories where he would tell. There was often like an absurdist element to them. But the ones that stuck with me, the ones that we would listen to, and this was also one of those things that we would listen to when we were driving for long periods of time, is he would tell these in like a complete deadpan, just like flat voice. It's the type of voice that sounds like AI nowadays when you go back and listen to Joe Frank. But those stories in such a flat deadpan tone would be so absurd. I remember one about like a guy, I don't remember if it was skiing or surfing, and it was just like these, or there was a semi-driver one too, and it was talking about how the semi-driver was driving. I can't explain it. They're just out there. If you have the chance, dig around, find some Joe Frank. I actually need to I have a bunch of Joe Frank files on my computer. I need to like dig them up and kind of figure out which ones specifically I'm talking about. But it was such a simple formula because he would just be reading this text that he had written, and it would just go on and on. And you would think that it would be boring and it would put you to sleep in a Bob Ross sort of way. But the stories were so captivating and they would suck you in. And the stories that we were obsessed with had a light musical accompaniment in the background, right? Like something to really take the story to another level. Sometimes to make it even more absurd, like the semi-driver one would have a jazz flute over the top of it, for example, something along those lines. But anyway, it's just like you would get pulled into it, and an hour later, like the story would finish, and you realize it was an hour later at that point in time. This is definitely more musical, but it has the same DNA as Joe Frank. This is the project of writer Valery Shyapkin from Arkhangelsk. So, as a writer, each of these tracks, all 13 of them, is a short story that he wrote. Most of them are windows into the reality of life here in Russia. Maybe not exactly like the Russia that we know. It could be an imagined version of Russia, but still, like, if you live in Russia or if you've been here, you have a pretty good idea of what parts of this country could be like, then the stories will resonate. Also, I'm just going to say this right now. This is one of those releases that really hinges. If you're watching this and you don't speak Russian or understand Russian, this release is not probably going to hit in the same way. But if you can speak Russian, or if you can read the text and translate, even if you can translate it and kind of read what's going on in it, right? Like, which is still something that you can do on the website genius.com. Lyrics for most of the tracks are here, so you could always translate them. And each of the tracks is a short story, right? This is one of those things that just, I don't really know how to describe it. These are such interesting stories. They're so short, they're so poignant, and the music is just there to put you in the right headspace. This is a rare type of release. And it feels very, very niche, but his voice is definitely a thing.
Лиза в розовой шапке с помпоном осторожно переступала через лужи. Они дошли до стройки, застывшей еще до их рождения. Это была скорее не стройка, а что-то ей противоположное. Демонтаж здания, которое разобрали на плиты, сложили их аккуратно рядом, оставили только фундамент и подвал. Саша заглянул в темноту, прочитал буквы на листе металла. Здесь был Вован 2001. Может, не надо? Мама говорит, тут бомжи ночуют. Сказала где-то сзади Лиза, но Саша уверенно шагнул вперед. Пахло плесенью и чем-то еще. «Посвети», — сказал Саша, и Лиза достала из кармана дешевый китайский кнопочный телефон. Они двигались по подвалу довольно медленно. Нашли старый попрыгунчик, какую-то ржавую металлическую коробку с гравировкой.
I can see the Kravstok comparison, but
Саша стал палкой разгребать ее, надеясь найти что-нибудь интересное. Под тряпками и обломками прогнившего дерева показалось что-то плоское. Он стал пытаться расчистить, подцепить предмет, но получалось плохо. «Помоги!» — крикнул он Лизе. И спустя 5 минут они откопали чемодан. Смогли выдернуть его, вцепившись в ручку. Чемодан был ржавый и заплесневевший. Кодовый замок не позволял взглянуть на содержимое, но Саша вернулся с каким-то металлическим огрызком, просунул его в щель. Смог открыть чемодан, применив пусть и детскую, но грубую силу. Из чемодана высыпались пачки купюр, и дети замерли в изумлении. Казалось, несбыточная фантазия, а если бы у меня был миллион, вдруг сбылась. А плана не было, ведь рациональное всегда твердило о нереальности такого сценария. Внутри лежали не... О, красное на сером.
there are certain tracks, like the last one feels like the music here goes a little bit better with the storytelling, right? Sometimes they don't line up perfectly, but
На лавке.
It's like a weird audiobook in a way.
Весь Нижний Тагил еще спал в летнем мареве. Сергей шел по двору, где асфальт давно превратился в лоскутное одеяло из заплаты ям. Над подъездом номер 5 висела вывеска «Магазин Рассвет» с потухшей буквой «А». Местные жители звали его Рассет. В воздухе пахло пылью, жареным подсолнечником и смолой от сосен, что росли за ржавым забором детской площадки. 3 бутылки жигулевского льдом впивались между пальцев, а из кармана торчал пакет хрустяка с крабом. Дешевле кириешек, но хрустело так же громко. Серега!
Just like the little details.
Пепельницу прямо вниз. Ты до вечера опять будешь квасить? А ты как думал, Витя? Огрызнулся Сергей, даже не поднимая головы. Может, и тебе еще налью? Не, я с прошлого раза еще печень не восстановил. Засмеялся тот и захлопнул окно. Скамейка у подъезда была его местом силы. Здесь он слушал, как трещат кузнечики в репейнике и гадал, куда делись все голуби. То ли кошки переловили, то ли они отравились чипсами. Но сегодня на лавке сидела Анна. Девочка, лет 16. Белые волосы спутаны в колтун. Лицо, будто на старой фотографии. Бледная, с тенями под глазами. Она сидела и, не обращая никакого внимания на Серегу, многократно втыкала булавку себе в запястье, будто в какой-то лист бумаги. Место занято. Буркнул Сергей, но сел, поставив бутылки на бетон. Сережа, голос у него был хрипловатый, как у курильщицы. Ты в 5 классе хотел стать космонавтом, а сейчас думаешь, что вся жизнь это помойка. Ты откуда знаешь, как меня зовут? Спросил он, зажигалкой срывая с бутылки крышку. Я Анна, ангел, по-вашему. Только не тот, что на иконах. Она ткнула булавкой точно в вену, но из прокола полилась не кровь, а свет. Расплавленное золото.
Anyway, if you can understand the lyrics, if you can understand what's being said, then you get like a very I don't know, just like maybe not the best short story writer. I don't know. Like, I'm not a huge voracious consumer of modern Russian literature, but like I said, as in terms of vignettes, just these little like short pictures into alternate realities or surrealist situations, there's something here. It's not very musical in a way, but in that same way that, like I said, Joe Frank wasn't really, it's not a podcast, it's not music, but there's something there. And, you know, music oftentimes is storytelling. Music a lot of times is just music, but music, if it's done correctly, is storytelling. I mean, that's like what a lot of good rap is. It's storytelling. It doesn't have to be rap either. Obviously, other genres can do that as well. So this is kind of that, just like way more in the storytelling extreme, a little bit dialed back, less on the music, but such an interesting release. It's one that it's one of those releases I had to sit down and give my full attention to, because it's a story. Like, I was sitting there and listening to it, and I was having to pay attention to like what the characters were saying to each other. And pretty much every single story is interesting, and like you get pulled into these characters' little lives. It's just a very interesting release, very unusual, very special in that regard. So that is the album Architector from the artist Публика выбирает сама. Okay. Ой. Другое дело. Детство. There we go. I did see this. I did see this released not long ago. Or maybe not. Maybe it was last year, but I actually really like the group, the Другое дело. I think earlier this year, I featured this. But I remember in 2024 listening to their album Zoltia Slava. Really good stuff. $2016. Everything works fine now. From 2026, yeah, it's a really good EP. This is a lot kind of heavier, deeper sound than I remember from them. Really like what the drums are doing there. Like a lot of the hi-hat playing right there, the closed hi-hats. This is the sound of Другое дело that I'm much more familiar with. Shifted into a grizzly bear, the grizzly bear a little bit with the harmonizing vocals. There's like 3 or 4 different sections to this song. Yeah, it's a really strong track. Just so much going on across all of it. I feel like I need to go back and re-listen to this album, which is not loading now, but the album from 2024 was also really, really good. I remember when I first heard them, I remember thinking, wait, is this? Okay. I remember thinking, it reminded me of like Wild Beasts, Dutch Uncles, two other groups, kind of from the same time as Washed Out, but actually I think a few years later than Washed Out, but Wild Beasts and Dutch Uncles, kind of, yeah, that same energy. And anyway, yeah, really good stuff. I had not heard that track before, but it is a very, very good one. Anyway, yeah, I guess that's that. I don't know what's going on. The stream is working fine. The music, not so much. I'm assuming all that nonsense going on with Contactia being blocked on Google Play and stuff. I'm assuming that there's some shenanigans going around right now. Since I'm using a VPN to access YouTube, then I'm also getting cucked out of Yandex Music and Spotify doesn't open. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe next week I'll just download the tracks and that way I won't have to do anything. I have no idea. Anyway, thanks for sort of sitting through all of the weird delays and things of that nature. I might talk about some July music next week. I don't know. I still have June stuff I want to talk about, and I haven't really seen anything in July that like is super exciting as of yet. So I'm just gonna continue ignoring that we are halfway through the summer, and at this point in time, over halfway through the year. So I guess whatever. Second quarter lives on, but everyone have a good evening, a good afternoon, whatever time of the day it happens to be where you are. Thanks for coming along and checking out some tunes. Thank you for the song suggestion there at the end of story. But y'all take care of yourselves. I will see you when I see you. But until then, paka paka.